Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Well, hello. I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show. We're so glad to be with you this week. And we have a special treat for you folks. We're out here on one of the finest sporting clays ranges, I think, certainly in our part of the country. And this is the Shootout in Houghton, Louisiana. We have our good friend, Travis Boyder. Did I say that right, Travis?
Oh, you did.
And friends, we have a very fine shooter in here amongst us. This is Miss Casey Scarborough. Is that right, Casey?
Yes, sir.
And I tell you what, friends, we've heard a lot of good things about Casey's ability to shoot a shotgun. In fact, I think she'll probably humble a lot of men. Is that right?
That is true.
Well, Casey, we're going to let you open our shooting show today, and we're going to let you just shoot that old shotgun and open our program for us, okay? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here at this really a tremendous range here. They have all sorts of different shooting events that are possible, but let me introduce you to Casey. This is Casey Scarborough, and Casey, tell us something. How old are you?
I'm 11 years old.
She's 11 years old, and how long you been shooting a shotgun, Casey?
Maybe just more than 1 year.
Just more than 1 year. And folks, I don't know if you can see or not, but Casey can break a clay bird in just about a minute. I mean, she is really an accomplished shooter for a living. Can I see your gun, Casey?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're shooting and we definitely have an unloaded Beretta here, because as you folks well know, that's the only way we're going to handle guns, certainly when we're standing around talking. Now, is this your personal gun?
Yes.
This is not, but so you borrowed this gun and you can shoot it a whole lot better than I can. Well, Travis, tell us a little bit about your program out here, or what you folks, tell us about your range and what you folks have to offer.
Well, basically what we have is we try to make a facility to where we could give you any kind of shooting, archery, or that you wanted to do. Everything from shotguns to rifles to handguns, silhouette, long-range rifle out to 415 yards. Just anything that your heart desires, and we try to accomplish as much as we can.
Well, over here, and we're going to show you folks that in just a few minutes, they have a long covered area to shoot handguns and rifles for silhouette and for bullseye. And I tell you what, it's a most impressive facility. Well, you have, what, 300 plus acres here?
There's about 302 acres total. Right now we're using 150, and we don't know what we might do with the rest.
Well, I tell you, I was so impressed with the sporting clays path, I guess is what you properly said.
The trail, yeah.
The trail earlier, and of course they changed. Now this is yours truly. I'd like to think I can halfway shoot a handgun, but this sporting clays is new to me. And like Kurt Vickers told me the other day, he said, Johnny, be prepared to be humbled, and yes it is. I took a few shots over there, I missed a lot, that's right.
If you come out and hit 50% your first time, you've had a good day.
So, well, now, you folks have been here how long? This is your second year?
Right at the second year, yeah.
And of course the Chevy Truck Team Challenge is going to be here when?
The region will be here September the 11th and 12th.
So, and of course you're open to, if people have a special event, let's say that a company wants to stage say a weekend shoot, say a large manufacturing company for employees.
We do have employee appreciation days. We'll put programs together for them to shoot. We'll cook for them. We'll work fundraisers for nonprofit organizations, MS, or anything they want to do. Just give us a call and we'll work something out.
Well, one of the most important things, Travis and I were talking earlier, what we as shooters need to do, we need to let the non-shooting public know that it is really fun. It is a good family entertainment that you can go out and do. Heck, you wouldn't spend any more out here than you would, say, taking the kids to a movie and maybe a meal. It's not going to really cost you any more, sometimes less.
You won't spend as much as you do on candy at a movie.
Okay.
I promise you that.
But this is certainly a great facility. We're going to be walking through, taking a look at some of the things that they have to offer in just a minute. Now, Travis, certainly as an accomplished skeet shooter, I've been watching you here. I know this is not the first time
well,
you
we'll question some of the accomplishments.
ladies and gentlemen, trust me, this is not the first time this man's picked up a shotgun. So tell us, for you know, there's a lot of interest out there. Tell us about skeet shooting. Give us a little background on it, how you go about it.
Well, skeet shooting, it's comprised of 25 total shots. You'll shoot at 8 different stations. These concrete pads around this field will show you where the stations are. And you're going to shoot anywhere from 2 to 4 birds at each station. You'll have one that comes out of the high house, one that comes out of the low house. And as you progress around these stations, they get harder and harder, and then they'll start to decrease on the how hard they are.
Now,
And
what kind of gun, for say someone that has never shot skeet, what do they need to come out here with? What kind of equipment?
Skeet, you can shoot it with anything from your standard pump shotguns up to $10,000 over and unders. You can truly shoot it with anything.
Would you say that the shooter is more important than the equipment?
Yes. Yes.
All right, well,
And
you're going to do a little shooting. What are you going to do for us here?
Well, I'm going to show you how the bird will come out of this high house behind me. We're going to throw a single out of there. We're going to throw a single out of the low house crossing, and then we're going to throw a true pair. Okay, what I'm fixing to do now is I'm going to call pull, which our trap boy here has got a remote control, and he'll pull the bird for me. Each time I say pull, he'll pull it again. Pull. Now we're going to shoot one out of the low house. It'll be coming toward me and crossing. Pull. Now is when we have the fun part for the beginners because they tend to have a slower reaction time. We're going to have 2 birds coming at the same time from the opposite direction. Pull! And that's basically how the game works.
And of course, we see Travis of course, it is hot out here today and humid. He has gone into, changed into a, shall we say, a more comfortable outfit there.
Yes, yes.
And we would like to emphasize again, as those folks at home remember, we're at certainly support comfortable shooting clothing, whatever it requires.
Right.
So, sir, I'm only jealous that I can't have some shorts on too, because it's hot out here. Well, Travis, tell me something. Who's this young lady standing next to you? Now, let's find out.
Well, this is my lovely wife, Patty, and she supported me a long time in a lot of the shooting that I've done.
Well, but of course now, Patty's got her own gun. Is that right?
Well, that's true.
Well, what's she going to show us today?
Today I'm going to shoot this Browning 22. It's got a Tasco Pro Point scope on it, which is the kind with a little red dot.
Now that is, tell us what that gun, you say it's a Browning. Now this is for a bullseye and for silhouette shooting, is that right?
What I primarily use it for is the silhouettes, like we'll show you just in a minute. And it's just fun to shoot because it has very little recoil, and it's all, the ammunition's also real cheap, so you can come out here and shoot a whole bunch for not very much money.
Well, we're certainly encouraging all the ladies. Now, how did you get into shooting, Patty?
Well, actually, one of our first dates was when Travis took me out to the woods and showed me how to shoot a gun. And then I've just spent a lot of time with him out here, and also our children come and shoot. And it's something that we can do together. And when I started going to the tournaments with Travis, and I'd see women shooting in the tournaments and realize that anybody can do it, and some of the women shoot as well as or better than some of the men. So we're planning on doing some competition this year with the ladies team also.
Well, you have a good number of women that come out here, don't you?
Quite a few. It's a good place. You know, so many women now are starting to carry guns, and their husband will buy them a gun and bring it home and say, okay, carry this in your car from now on, and never take them out and teach them how to shoot it. And this is a good place for women that want to carry a gun but aren't comfortable to come out here and learn all the safety rules and actually learn how to use it.
Well, if someone, could they get some help? Say some lady bought a gun and came out here, could they get a little help in learning to how the gun functions here at the shootout?
Sure, there's a lot of instructors out here that would help them, and if they don't feel comfortable with another man, you know, with a man teaching them about it, they can always ask for one of the ladies that are more experienced to be glad to help them, because we can kind of talk in ladies' language instead of talking about a particular part that I may not know the name of it, that little thing right there.
Well, in fact, Travis, you folks tell us where the shootout is located, because I'm sure that some of our folks from other areas will want to come by and visit you folks. So tell us how to get here.
We're about 8 miles east of Louisiana Downs on Highway 80. If you're coming down I-20, it'll be the first exit after Louisiana Downs. Take that exit north to Highway 80. Take a right on Highway 80, go 1.5 miles. You'll see the big sign.
All right, because I'm sure, of course, we have viewers all over the country, but even if someone is coming through here, well, you folks would be very pleased for them to stop and shoot with you, wouldn't you?
Oh, I sure would, and if they need some information, they can call us at 318-949-9146.
All right, give us that number one more time.
318-949-9146.
I'm going to do a little target practice today with these silhouettes in my 22. Hopefully I can hit a few today.
Now, friends, of course, you can see they have such a variety of things. We have turkeys out here. They have a 100-meter silhouette match. Is that correct, Patty?
Yes.
Okay, and of course, just a complete facility. Then you have another long-range rifle silhouette location across the berm here. And of course, one thing that these folks are so concerned with is safety of the shooters. And to my knowledge, they've never had any accident or trouble because they're so concerned with safety. Again, we're going to be mentioning again the location of the shootout. Yes, we do have a little wind here today, but I'm going to take this Browning, and this is the Buckmark 22 long rifle. Very nice gun, and of course has the Tasco Pro Point. And this is, let's just see what it looks like on these little steel targets here. Let's see if I can hit one or two of them. Of course, to load this particular gun, now this is, what's the barrel length on this, Patty? Well, it's long.
I'm not sure.
It's long. We know that, it's long. So, anyway, we'll pull the slide back here and load us around, and let's see if I can hit one or two of these things. All right, we'll find out in a moment. Starting on the left. Now, friends, that first magazine in this Browning Buckmark was so much fun, I think I'll just do it again. Let's go for that one. Way out, we're going to load our gun like so, and we'll. Okay. Whoops. It went, okay. And I ran out of bullets.
This is Rhonda Lackaby, and she's one of our customers, and she has just recently got involved in a lot of the shooting sports, and I think she's got the bug big time.
Well, Rhonda, tell us, now you're just a little more than an average shooter. What, we're in the Marine Corps?
No, I'm a Navy Corpsman, Petty Officer 2nd Class. I'm assigned to a Marine Combat Unit. I'm their doc. And I go out and I do everything they do. If they get hurt, I take care of them.
Now, you're also a fire person.
I'm a firefighter paramedic with Shreveport Fire Department. And there's some gentlemen there that shoot on the Sheriff's SWAT team. And between them and the Marines, I kind of got hooked big time.
Well, tell us about your gun there, please.
I have an AR-15. It's set up competition. It's got a twist-9 barrel, 24-inch, with a compensator on the end. And that means the fire goes to the side instead of out front. And it's almost like the same rifle that the Marines shoot, except their barrel's shorter.
Well, we're certainly glad to meet you and come out here at this terrific facility that Travis and the good folks here at the Shootout have. And we're going to photograph you shooting your gun a little.
Okay. The sights are probably way off. This brand new rifle.
course, Travis is doing a little spotting for Rhonda here. She's making adjustments.
Friends, you can tell we were out at the shootout at a quiet time of day, so we could take our pictures, of course. But even then, some of the ladies were out shooting, some of the kids were out there, and this is so important to our sport. As gun owners, we need to encourage children, younger people, and the ladies to come out and shoot with us and find out what it's all about. This is, in fact, a tremendous facility. It's just a few miles east of Shreveport, a few miles down Interstate 20. Their phone number is area 318-949-9146. They're very nice people, and we'll be doing some things in the future out at the shootout, covering some meets and individual matches. And if you're in this part of the country, or certainly if you're coming through here and you want to shoot your gun, well, this is an excellent place to do it. The shootout in Houghton, Louisiana. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or television station.
There's a movement in this country to surrender the Second Amendment.
Listen to this. There is no reason for anyone in this country, anyone except a police officer or a military person, to buy, to own, to have, to use a handgun.
And, still quoting, the only way to do that is to change the Constitution.
That's not some nobody. That's the president of NBC News.
You see, they want to repeal your constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Well, you can help stop it by joining the NRA.
For just $25, you'll get a year of great magazines and member benefits. And you'll be where all honest gun owners belong, in the NRA.
If you want to keep the rights your founding fathers entrusted to you,
the rights the Constitution guarantees to you.
The rights the NRA protects for you.
Call now.
And now, friends, we're pleased to present this week's feature from our good friend Art Alpin with the great A Square Company, and that address is 1 Industrial Park, Bedford, Kentucky. Their phone number is area 502-255-7456. And whether a lot of you know it or not, we want to tell you that A Square builds some of the finest big game rifles and ammunition in the world. So now let's see what Art has to tell us today.
Field artillery in the war between the states was primarily an anti-personnel weapon. The most popular field artillery piece on both sides during the war was the 12-pound Napoleon. It was light enough to be maneuvered as a field artillery piece, yet fired full charge 12-pound ammunition. This ammunition consisted of 4 major types of projectiles. Solid or round shot was a solid iron ball. Like all other projectiles, it was attached to a wooden sabot by metal bands. The sabot improved the accuracy and served double duty by having a woolen powder bag attached to it. This meant that when loading, the powder charge, sabot, and projectile were all one piece and could be loaded with one stroke. Shell was a hollow iron ball filled with black powder and using a Borman or similar type of fuse. The fuse was a wooden plug containing a powder train in a groove. The cover was a scale graduated in seconds. The gunner estimated the range and consequent time of flight to the target and called out the number. The fuse cutter cut a hole in the fuse cover at the appropriate mark. Hopefully, the powder gases escaping past the projectile would ignite the fuse, which would burn for the required number of seconds before causing the projectile to explode. This was a very iffy thing. Problems with fuses, range estimation, and variations in muzzle velocity made it near impossible to get the projectile to explode in the right place. Spherical case was the same as shell, except that the hollow area in the shell contained a very small burster charge and a number of separate iron balls. Grape or canister shot was used on infantry at less than 400 yards. This collection of small iron balls converted the Napoleon into a giant shotgun. When the infantry closed to within 180 yards, one powder charge could be loaded with 2 containers of canister, thereby doubling the number of projectiles to 24 pounds. Explosive shell and spherical case had little bursting power and were unreliable. The preferred rounds were solid shot and canister. We will demonstrate how to load using this 6-pounder, which has been re-rifled on the James principle. After the shot, the number 3 closed off the touch hole or vent with a padded leather glove called a thumb stall. Number 1 dipped the sponge end of his rammer into a water bucket and swabbed the bore in order to extinguish any sparks remaining from the previous shot. Number 2 received the new projectile powder combination from the powder monkey and placed it at the muzzle. Number 1 reversed his rammer and rammed the cartridge home. Number 3 then removed the thumb stall from the vent and, using a vent prick, cut open the cartridge in the bore. Number 4 placed the friction primer in the vent and took the slack out of the lanyard. At any time during this process, the gunner aimed the weapon. For elevation changes, he used the hand screw mounted underneath the breech, while deflection changes were made by physically moving the trail left and right. Upon command, number 4 would give a final pull on the lanyard. The friction primer acted like a giant kitchen match and set off the propelling charge. As the gun rolled back 6 to 12 feet in recoil, the crew members seized the carriage and rolled it forward to approximately the same starting position. You may ask about rifled field artillery, but it was not that effective. Though it was more accurate, its recoil took it out of position after every shot. Each succeeding shot was the equivalent of opening fire again. The rounds could not be walked into the target. Rifles were inefficient at handling canister shot, and their explosive projectiles had a weak burster charge and an extremely unreliable contact fuse. Since the projectiles were oblong, they normally dug deeply into the ground before explosion and had little effect. It would take more than 30 years, plus the invention of high-order explosive filler, smokeless powder, cartridge cases, breech loaders, good contact fuses, and hydro-pneumatic recoil systems before field artillery had the characteristics which you and I understand today. We will watch a genuine 12-pound Napoleon being fired with solid shot and canister shot against formations of silhouette targets. We will be loading slowly and out of sequence, and we'll be using a separate powder bag of aluminum foil in order to reduce the possibility of a premature discharge. To reduce chance of misfire, the number 3 man will put priming powder down the vent before the friction primer is inserted. Infantry 400! Prime! Fire! Dean. Vent. Prime! Fire! Infantry 240! Too much. Prime! Fire! Prime! Fire! Prime! Fire! I am sure you expected the canister shot to be impressive, but the round shot was surprising. They bounced through the formation like a bowling ball gone berserk. Every strike upon the ground and every impact with a target created secondary projectiles which traveled through the target area at odd angles. Wartime stories of round shot hurling rifled muskets, canteens, and pieces of bodies as secondary projectiles are true. One can only imagine what it must have looked like when a battery of 6 of these were on line firing at maximum rate. During the war, maximum rate for these weapons was 4 rounds per minute. This is faster than we were firing since we put a premium on safety and intentionally went slowly. By calculating the rate of advance of infantry using Hardee's manual and comparing this to the rate of fire, we find that an infantry unit attacking a Napoleon field piece from 1,500 yards out would, by the time they arrived at the gun, receive 676 pounds of round shot and canister from that single field piece alone. This brings up two important side points: Gatling guns and leadership. The Gatling gun of the war between the states was the size of this field piece, yet its combat range was exactly the same as the rifled musket. Since cartridge cases were not yet practical, Gatling gun crews had to load and prime steel sleeves as if those sleeves were .58 caliber rifled muskets. These sleeves were then fed into the gun as ammunition. After every couple of hundred rounds, they had to cease fire to reload the sleeves and clean out the vast quantities of powder fouling which escaped past the gap between sleeve and barrel. No one in his right mind would pick a Gatling gun over any smoothbore field piece. With Napoleon's belching death, why did men go forward? They were led from the front. During the war between the states, over 160 general officers from both sides were killed. All but one or two were killed leading their men in battle from the front. This is far in excess of all general officer casualties of the United States in all other wars combined. Despite the death and destruction, soldiers of both sides went forward to their job. At the Battle of Newmarket, for example, the Corps of Cadets from the Virginia Military Institute went on line near the Bushong House and charged. They crossed this field from the Bushong House to where you are standing, approximately 600 yards, and the location of a federal battery. They not only seized the battery, they actually broke the Union line asunder, putting it to flight. The price they paid for moving across that short space of ground, some of which was dead space in which they were protected from fire, was 10 dead and 45 wounded out of 222 total engaged. I have some recovered targets. These shot with canister shot. And these hit with round shot. When you study the war, remember these targets and the range film. They will give you a new dimension on the peculiar problems of that war and the courage of the troops involved. Was the 12-pound Napoleon effective? Yes. Its canister at close range and round shot at long range was deadly. You can imagine what would happen to soldiers hit with the round shot as these targets were hit.
Now, friends, don't go away. We'll be right back with more of the Shootin' Show after this break for your local cable company or television station.
Get ready to order the most exciting videotape ever offered on television. It's the best of guns, guns, guns. 60 minutes of action, excitement, and the most amazing display of firearms available on video. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, and machine guns. See Bob Munden, the fastest gun who ever lived. USPSA pistol competition, the Steel Challenge, U.S. Marine Corps weapons, machine guns from around the world, and lots of surprises. If you like guns, you'll love the best of guns, guns, guns. Available only through this special TV offer. Fast draw competition, hand cannon, Soldier of Fortune firepower, how to shoot fast, and lots more like you've never seen it before in this 60-minute action-packed video. Use your credit card to order toll-free now. Call 1-800-942-8273. You'll receive the best of guns, guns, guns for just $29.95 plus $4 shipping. By ordering now, you'll receive this 28-page gun video catalog absolutely free. So call with your credit card right now, 1-800-942-8273, or send check or money order to 7888 Ostro Street, Suite A, San Diego, California, 92111.
Now, friends, for the absolute best in monthly shooting magazines, turn to Shooting Times magazine. They have all sorts of excellent features on handguns, rifles, shotguns, and black powder by some of your favorite gun writers, such as Dick Metcalf and Rick Jameson and Bill Jordan, just to name a few. Each month you'll find interesting articles on guns, shooting, reloading, and new products in the firearms industry. That, along with information on pending legislation of interest to all gun owners. For subscription information, call 1-800-727-4353. Shooting Times, the best there is.
Hi, I'm Bill McIntyre from the National Rifle Association headquarters in Washington, D.C. I'm sitting with Crime Strike Director Steve Twist. Steve, can you tell us a little bit about Crime Strike?
Crime Strike is a new division of the National Rifle Association bill, and it's designed to mobilize the forces of 3 million plus members and the many resources of the NRA to promote criminal justice reform across America.
How do you do that? How do you go about doing that?
Well, we're actively going into state after state and promoting reforms that will really break the back of violent crime in this country. We're working with volunteers in every state across America. We're working in legislatures, working with citizen initiative groups. Just recently in the state of Washington, we've weighed in heavily on a 3 strikes and you're out campaign to place on the ballot before the citizens of the state of Washington an amendment to their laws that will require criminals who have been convicted of their 3rd serious felony to go to prison for life.
What's the purpose behind Crime Strike? Why is NRA taking this on?
Crime Strike is moving the National Rifle Association to become this country's foremost anti-crime and pro-victims' rights advocacy organization. We realize that unless we do something to turn around the violent crime problem in this country, there's going to be more and more increasing attack on the Second Amendment rights for law-abiding citizens. So through mobilizing our tremendous resources, through the volunteers and the membership that we have, we really think we have an agenda to break the back of violent crime in this country.
I know Crime Strike has been very busy in Texas. What's gone on there?
Well, in Texas we started an initiative last summer to propose significant reforms to the criminal justice system there. You know, their system has virtually collapsed. In Texas, every 22 days an inmate satisfies another year of a prison sentence imposed. The revolving door is spinning faster and faster, and as a result, law-abiding Texans are increasingly in harm's way to the violent criminals. So our initiative in Texas is proposing now to have tough juvenile justice reforms that will crack down on juveniles who commit adult violent crimes. We're moving to increase the length of time served for violent offenders. In fact, just now the Texas legislature is considering Senate Bill 1067, which will double the length of time served for violent offenders in the state of Texas, and we're heavily pushing that legislation. It's not the full Crime Strike agenda, but it's an important first step.
Well, that sounds like an important first step. Obviously, though, Crime Strike, the NRA can't do it all by themselves.
Right.
You rely very heavily on volunteers. What can volunteers do? What does it take to be a Crime Strike volunteer?
Well, first of all, your premise is exactly right. We need the eyes and ears and heart of volunteers all across this country. Volunteers can do simple things like just read their newspapers and watch for stories that report on collapses in the criminal justice system in their area. But even beyond that, they can help us monitor what's going on in the legislature. They can watch courtrooms for us and look at the activities of prosecutors and judges, all in a designed attempt to make sure that we've got people in place around this country who will carry out the will of the American people to crack down on crime.
How many volunteers does Crime Strike have already?
Well, we have over 13,000 now, and we're growing every day. It's remarkable to see the outpouring of support from not only NRA members, but non-members who have heard about Crime Strike and want to join and volunteer in the effort and support NRA at the same time.
If someone wants to become a Crime Strike volunteer, how do they do it? Who do they call?
Well, I'd like them to call directly to our Washington office, and that's 1-202-828-6028. That call will get you right into the Crime Strike offices here in Washington, and we'll take your name and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
There you have it, Crime Strike, a new division at the National Rifle Association. The director is Steve Twist, taking on criminal justice reform with the help of volunteers across the country. For now, I'm Bill McIntyre from Washington, D.C. I'll see you next week.
All right, people, the voters are screaming about violent crime. What are we going to tell them?
How about the truth? We're not keeping violent criminals in prison.
Sir, 35 states are under court order to release criminals.
The average criminal set free will commit 187 more crimes a year.
We're out of prison space.
We gotta make more. Good people are getting hurt bad.
With the likelihood of arrest and conviction, a murderer will spend 1.8 years in prison.
Yeah, and a rapist a couple of months.
I'm not in the prison building business.
We're in the re-election business.
Thank you.
Listen, just a handful of repeat offenders commit most violent crimes.
We could just stop letting them go.
Well, stop giving me the facts and start giving me headlines.
How about another gun control law?
Yeah, we've already got 20,000 of them.
It just don't work.
So my gun control plan to restrict firearm sales to citizens will break the back of violent crime and rid our streets of violent criminals. Do we have any questions?
Don't let politicians get away with murder. Join the NRA.
Now, friends, recently on our program, we had started to feature on the Tech 9, and we simply ran out of time. So today we're going to refresh you a little bit on what we said then and going to finish our review on the Tech 9 from Intratec.
Now, friends, I'm holding a most unique and what I would think would be an interesting handgun to a lot of us who watch the program, certainly to me. This is the Tech 9. And they're based down in Miami, Florida, Intratec, the 9mm Luger Tech 9 DC9. And I tell you what, friends, this is one of those guns that when I first saw it, I didn't really know what to think about it. It looks a little, certainly, paramilitary, I suppose, from the way it looks. And I understand that the basic design on these guns is based on, don't hold me to this, I think a Swedish submachine gun or machine pistol. Tell you the truth, I don't know for sure, but whatever it's based on, let me tell you what the design works. It has some kind of synthetic plastic lower receiver here. Of course, here's your ejection port on the side, and we know, of course, the gun's empty. And this is your bolt over on the left side. You can see, and it also functions as the safety. You can press the bolt in and nothing will happen. The gun will not fire, the bolt will not move, and of course to fire the gun you just simply pull it out. It does not have a bolt hold open feature, and this is the point I want to make about the gun. It's very simply made. It's one of the most simple guns of its type that I have run across yet. And you know, there's a reason. People say, well, why would anyone want a gun like this? One, some of us find them attractive. It does have a military look about it, but also there's another reason. You know, there's a reason that the military uses firearms that look sort of like this Tech 9 here, such as the AR-15 series, the MP5. They all have a similar look. They're built to have a lot of stampings. They have plastic parts on the guns. There's a reason for it. It's less expensive to make. It's more efficient to make than some other sorts of gun combinations. And this, of course, is a 9mm. It is a simple blowback action, and it has a huge bolt. And I suppose that's why it has such a large bolt face here, because it is a blowback action, and it relies on spring pressure in the receiver here to take up the shock from the 9mm cartridge firing. Of course, the 9 is a very high pressure, certainly pistol cartridge, and you need a massive part there, I suppose, to take up the pressures generated by the 9mm firing. This is an entertaining looking gun, but what has surprised me, it has a pretty good trigger. It's fairly light. It's not bad at all. It has a little take-up, but you do get a surprise break there. It's good for accuracy shooting. And it looks like a short rifle or whatever else, but it's really not. It's essentially a 9mm pistol. It has about, I'm going to say that's about a 4.5, 5-inch barrel on the gun. It has a 30-round magazine that fits in the bottom of the frame right there like so. And I tell you what, friends, it's an inexpensive gun. This gun retails for a little over $200, but hey, it works like a champ. We shot a group with it a while earlier today, and it went into about 2.5 inches at 25 yards, which is pretty darn good accuracy for a gun of its type, I think. It appears to be very well made. As far as durability, I don't know. I don't know anybody that has shot one of these things a couple of thousand times. I don't know. But I tell you what, it looks rugged. You know, that's another feature. This gun is a fairly inexpensive gun, certainly for what it is. And the reason is they can make parts out of plastic. Your internal gun parts can be large and simple. It is a large handgun, and this is how they can do it. It just doesn't take as much handwork to manufacture one of these guns. This is the first time I've ever really had the chance to pick up one of these and shoot it. Our good friends at Britton's have loaned us this gun just for testing on our program. And tell you the truth, I didn't know what to expect. It has a set of, shall we say, rudimentary sights on it. But like I said earlier, it really groups extremely well for a gun of this type. We have tried several different kinds of ammunition in it, from the full metal jacket to the Winchester silver tip hollow point. We shot some Corbons in it a few minutes ago, and it has functioned 100%. This one has anyway. I don't know about the rest of them, but this one has functioned 100% in slow fire, rapid fire, mixing our ammunition up. And you know, with the better 9mm ammunition, friends, this really does a double duty as a home defense gun. You know, this gun looks like, and believe me, the average criminal does not watch this show. They don't read the gun magazines. The average criminal really doesn't know much about firearms. And I tell you what, if you showed up at your front door with one of these, you probably scare whoever was the intruder half to death, simply because of the way the gun looks. It is very businesslike. It does give the impression of being a very powerful rapid-fire weapon. Well, let's shoot the gun and let you look at it in action in just a moment and talk a little more about it.
Now, friends, we'll be right back with more of the Shootin' Show after this break for your local cable company or television station.
Friends, I've already loaded the magazine with 30 rounds of full metal jacket ammunition and seated all the way into the magazine well. Again, this gun is so simply made, it looks to be very robust. I would think it would shoot for a long period of time. So let's shoot it a few times just for fun and see what it looks like in action. Now then, to load the chamber, pull the bolt all the way to the rear, and by all means keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. And you know, let it go, and then push the bolt in to be on safe. So let's see, we turn here to these steel targets and see what it looks like. About one, and one more over here. Yes, it zips right along. And just for fun, since we're here, right up on our paper target, let's see what it'll do here. And just for grins, and we'll apply our safety. Tell you what, friends, we had some clouds come by, and I tell you, I'm glad, because it has been a tough one out here today. These Louisiana summers, which are getting here a little early this year, I tell you, they're definitely warm and humid, as you can see from my shirt. Anyway, friends, let's go ahead and unload our Tech 9. We'll take the magazine out the bottom. We'll pull our bolt handle out, and we will pull it back and unload the chamber. And of course, we will double check the chamber. I tell you what, friends, this is for what it is. It's a fairly large pistol, but certainly an impressive looking handgun. I believe I would prefer to shoot it with, like just any other pistol, from a semi-weaver stance like so. I don't think that you're going to get optimum performance. We'll put the magazine in. We did not load the chamber. I don't think I'd want to hold the gun by the rear grip and by the magazine, because you can move the magazine around. You might restrict functioning. Of course, and let's unload it right quick and check it again. You can hold the gun like so around the heat shield around the barrel. As I was doing a moment ago, you have got to be extremely careful that you do not put your hand in front of the muzzle, because, friends, I tell you, up at that distance, the muzzle of that 9mm would not be kind to your hand. None of us want to get hurt, so let's restrict ourselves to safe gun handling practices at all times. You've got to think about this now. So I believe if I were going to do a lot of shooting with this gun, or certainly going to keep it, I would shoot it like any other handgun. And you know, friends, this is another one of the guns that some of the folks in Congress, certainly the anti-gun people, have decided that we're not safe to own. It's not that the gun's not safe for us. It's like we, as the citizen, are not safe to own guns like this. Friends, this is nothing more than a standard old 9mm pistol with a high-capacity magazine. You know what, friends? You have much more to be worried about. A man who can shoot a gun with a revolver is much more dangerous than someone who has one of these who can't shoot. It doesn't make any difference. It all goes back to the individual. And you know, before it's over with, they're probably going to be calling revolvers semi-automatics, because it fires every time you pull the trigger. So, and as we know, you can shoot a revolver just as fast as you can typically an automatic or semi-automatic. So, friends, again, if you plan on buying one of these guns, I say again because I've talked about it on several recent shows, if you're going to buy any kind of semi-automatic gun, especially a higher capacity semi-automatic gun, I believe I'd be doing it, because there are those in the government who desperately want to take these away from us. You know, this would make a terrific home defense gun. It's fun, and just being fun to shoot, as far as I'm concerned, that's reason enough to own the gun, certainly if you're a decent citizen. And friends, I tell you, the people in the government, I don't know, it bothers me a great deal that the government does not trust us, the individual. You know, I think that's what our country was founded upon, was trust in the judgment of the individual. So this is something that we're all going to have to deal with. We will have those names and addresses on how to get in touch with your congressman or your senator. Even if you don't know who your U.S. representative is, we're going to give you a number to call, and you tell them your zip code, and they can tell you who it is. So, friends, these are fun guns to have, to own, to shoot. There's absolutely no reason that we shouldn't be allowed to do so if we don't have any kind of criminal record or a history of mental illness or drug abuse. So, I tell you what, the Tech 9 from Intratech, Miami, Florida, gets a good grade from us here on the Shooting Show. It's a lot of fun, and heck, that's reason enough to have one.
Now, friends, if you want to write your congressman or your senator, now here's how you can do it. Now, get your pencil and piece of paper here and look at what is on our screen. The top line says the honorable, whether they deserve it or not, and a lot of them don't, but anyway, of course, some of them do, and that's the good news. But the honorable, whoever your senator or representative is, and you can mail it to U.S. Capitol and then put the House or the Senate in Washington, D.C. Now, the zip code for the House is 20515, and the zip code for the Senate is 20510. Now then, some people out there may not know who their representative is, all right? The phone number at the bottom of the screen will tell you. It's area 202-224-3121. Now that's an important number, because all you have to do is give them your zip code and they can tell you who your representative, or for that matter, who your senator is. And this is real important, because, friends, let me tell you what. You see, as gun owners, our strength really lies in the House of Representatives or in the Senate, because unfortunately the people in the White House are entirely against us as law-abiding gun owners. But we still have those senators and those representatives who are still concerned about their jobs, and some of them, in fact, are even concerned about doing right. So what we can do, we can write, and those letters are important. You know, letters carry a lot more weight with government officials than do phone calls. Letters take a little bit of time to write, but you know what? You can write your feelings to your senator or your representative. You do not have to write a 3-page dissertation, nothing like that. Just let them know that I am a law-abiding citizen. I want to keep my firearms. I still want to retain my rights as an American to own and enjoy shooting firearms. And you know, they'll get the message. So this is something that we have got to do. We've got to contact these people, because, friends, let me tell you what, as I have said before, the wolf is no longer at the door. He is climbing in the window. So this is something that is so important, and please get your pencil and paper and write this down. We will be running it on future shows. Now, friends, as gun enthusiasts, all of us need to be getting a subscription of Shotgun News, and their address is Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska. That zip is 68902. Their phone number is area 402-463-4589. Now, for MasterCard or Visa subscriptions only, call them at 1-800-345-6923. With literally thousands of firearms bargains, 3 big issues monthly, Shotgun News is a trading post for anything that shoots. Again, that MasterCard or Visa subscriptions only number, 1-800-345-6923. Now, friends, if you're anywhere near our neck of the woods here in northwest Louisiana and you have shooting needs, well, you ought to come to Britton's at 517 Louisiana Avenue here in Shreveport. That phone number is area 318-221-4131. They have an excellent supply of guns, a great stock of ammunition and reloading supplies, and also want to let you folks know they've opened another store for 2 locations now, one in Hollywood, on Hollywood here in Shreveport. Britton's. Friends, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Shootin' Show. We have certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. And we look forward to being back in your homes again next week with another Shootin' Show.